respiratory. Hi, my name is Amy and I'm a respiratory care student with the respiratory care department. And today, Mr. Johnson, you have been ordered to give you oxygen. So here I have an oxygen tank, and before we begin, I just want to check your ID band. So I'm going to check the ID band and make sure the date of birth and the name matches my documents that I checked. So before I give you this oxygen, I'm going to assess you and make sure I get all your vital signs down before I begin to give your oxygen. So after I got all the vital signs, the SpO2, everything down before I give the oxygen down, then I will get the oxygen ready. So with this oxygen tank, you know that it's oxygen because of the color of the tank, it's green. And then there's also a label on the side of the tank that says oxygen. So that's a good way to identify that it's oxygen. Now with this tank, it always needs to be in the safety cart. It cannot be removed. The only time it can be removed is by one of us, so please do not remove that. And then with this oxygen tank, you cannot cover it with anything over top because it can cause combustion with the tank. Even though it's not non-flammable, it can still cause it to combust. And then also I have placed a non-smoking sign on the door, and I ask that you or any of the other visitors that may come visit you to not smoke in the room or around you when you are on the oxygen, because that can also cause combustion and can cause a fire, and it can cause it to go very rapidly. So with this, when I sit it next to your bedside, I don't want anybody to mess with it, any of the regulator, anything that I have on this. It needs to be set at a certain thing, PSI, so please be careful. So before I begin, I would always crack the cylinder. Now this will be a little loud blow sound, and so when I crack it, it blow out any debris that may be in the opening of the valve. And if it's a new tank, then I would remove the safety cap off of it. So when I am ready, I will apply the PISS regulator here. And this here, before I apply it, I need to check the ring, the washer here, to make sure there's no cracks, make sure there's it will give a nice tight seal. And then I would also check to make sure the pins are okay, there's no broken pins or anything like that. All right, so I'm gonna, again, I will place this onto the tank, and then I need to make sure that I have it properly tight onto the tank. So once I have it tightly on the tank, I will crack the cylinder here open, and I need to always check just to make sure there's no leaks. I don't hear anything leaking, and so then I would check the gauge to see where we are at, and we are at 1,000. So then with that, I would times it by 0.28 because this is an E cylinder, and then I divide it by the flow rate, which the doctor has described to be at 2 liters per minute. So I turn it to 2 liters per minute before I place on like a nasal cannula or even a simple mask. And I'd make sure there's a good flow, and then I'd attach it to there. And then once I am done, I'd remove the device, the nasal cannula or simple mask, and then I turn this off. And then I would shut this off before I'd remove the regulator. Once that is tightly on, then I would turn this up to make the regulator go down to 0. That way there's no pressure behind it when I remove it. So then I would remove this and set it in a safe place to where it would not get broke or anything. And then I would put, if I have a safety cap, I'd put a safety cap on it when transporting, and then I always need to make sure I have my wrench with me with it. And when pushing the oxygen, you always need to push the tank away from you. So after the patient has been on oxygen for a little bit, I need to come back and reassess the patient. I need to check their vital signs to make sure they're getting enough oxygen. And so I get all their vital signs. Once I'm done, I chart everything that I had done for the patient to make sure I have both the before vital signs and the after vital signs, and then I am done.